our regular session. I don't think I can hit that thing as good as Kelsey did. That was wow. This by the way is something that I rescued off of eBay from the 1970s that was used in one of the committees in Austin that was given by one of the members of the Transportation Subcommittee to his chair, and I believe it was Bob Vail that was one of the, what they call them, the Dirty 30, if anybody remembers that story from the Texas House. Anyway, there it is, my brief history lesson. All right, next item that we have on the agenda this evening, we have the hearing of residents, and first to sign up this evening, Richard, you're number one on the list.
Mayor, we have the city events.
Oh, I guess I did skip that. Go ahead. We'll do hearing from residents first, and then we'll go back to city events. So, the floor is yours.
Here, there you go. Thank you very much. Basically, my name is Richard Jevitt, and I'm from 2550 Chasefield Drive here in Schertz. What I wanted to do was kind of speak to you a little bit from the organization that I belong to, and that's Guadalupe County Crime Stoppers. And what it is just to kind of give a thank you to some of the people that helped with a group of, what should I say, from the governor's office that came down here to take a look and see whether Schertz would be a good place for a convention for the Crime Stoppers. And it was really great that we had such wonderful people that were able to help us out with all of this stuff. And I'd just like to mention and give thanks to them. Maggie Titterington, Jake Jacobs, Sue Boisano, Jacqueline Ponder, Kyle Kennedy, and Robin Thompson. But a real special thank you for Erin Matlock. She put together a whole group of things that the conventioneers could kind of do in the city of Schertz. And believe it or not, you know, being in Schertz such a long time, even I didn't know some of the things that we were capable of doing. Our city is a great one. Our next step now will be to go in February to Odessa to be able to promote Schertz as the city to be able to hold a convention. It would be held in 2017, but I think with everything that was presented from the city people, from the city staff, it was just fantastic. They did an excellent, excellent job, and I just wanted to say thank you again for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Next on the list, Laurie Kreitz. Did I say that right? Is it Kreitz? Wonderful. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Laurie Kreitz, and my husband and I, we have 5 children, and we have been raising them in the city of Schertz for however many years. And when we lived in San Antonio, we chose the city of Schertz because it's such a family-oriented city. And so when I was driving down I-35 a couple weeks ago and I noticed the adult megaplex billboard up on the left-hand side, it was really alarming to me because what they're asking us to do is to go and frequent their place. And I'm raising 4 boys and 1 girl. And porn addiction is one of the worst addictions it's rampant. And what's interesting about porn addiction is that it's hidden. It can be hidden for a very long period of time. Men and women both struggle with it, and it's sad because it's coming into our homes through our computers as well. But the problem with it is that it's not just an addiction, but it grows. And so what happens is you see acting out. And I've had 3 families, dear friends of ours, where the husband acted out, went and had an affair, and 2 of them lost their marriages, and one of them just barely by the string of their hairs, they're saving their marriage. So I wanted to share a couple of statistics with you guys. 88% of scenes in porn films contain acts of physical aggression. 49% of scenes contain verbal aggression. 56% of divorce cases involving one party having an obsessive interest in pornographic material. And pornography use increases the marital infidelity rate by more than 300%. There is one of my dear friends, his name is Jonathan Doherty, began a ministry called Be Broken. It's based over in Garden Ridge, but they serve hundreds of families here in Schertz. The reason that he began that was, first of all, because he was affected by porn addiction when he was a young boy, and then it grew and nearly destroyed their marriage. But they saved their marriage, and he began this ministry. And so I asked him if he had any opinions. First of all, he wanted you guys to know that he'd be happy to help. If there's someone that comes to you that says, we have a problem, let them know that Be Broken is a ministry out there that's helping people walk away from porn addiction. But he said, we believe sexuality is sacred, a beautiful gift from God for procreation and intimacy in the bond of husband and wife within the nuclear family. When the bond is lessened in the value by relegating it to equal status with an appetite such as hunger or transaction, like one might expect at Walmart, we lose not only the beauty of sex, but also the foundation to our society, which is our family. With each generation that grows up in a consumer mentality towards sex, the fabric of society is increasingly torn. So what I'm asking you guys is to definitely send the letter in item number 2 or whatever it is, definitely send that letter. But I'm asking for more than that. I want our city to be protected from porn addiction. I want our families to be protected from that. I don't want that stuff in my house. And I'm doing everything that I can from the outside, but I need help from you guys too. I need the billboard gone. Thank you guys. Blessings.
Ma'am, thank you. And just so that I'm clear, 8128 Garden North. 8128 Garden North. Thank you. Well, and last to sign up, Miguel, please.
Mayor, city staff, council, God forgive me, I'm not as eloquent as my dad was. So, just want to take a few minutes tonight to express my family's deep gratitude to the city of Schertz for allowing us the use of the Civic Center, city personnel, and city resources last Tuesday on the 5th in support of his funeral. I think that the generosity the city showed allowed us to give him to pay him a proper tribute. Although I don't think he would have cared for all the fuss. I just wanted the city to know that our family, my family, and his surviving siblings are very grateful for the outpouring of support from the city of Schertz, and we thank you very much for that. On the second thing I had was with regard to Bear Waste. The company is strong. I mean, the foundation that he's built over the past 18 years here, it's rock solid. We're committed to the same level of service and excellence that he demanded from us. So nothing changes there. I know that most of y'all could call him day or night with a question or a problem and get an answer, or at least get something working. I hope that I can fill that role going forward. So I have met most of you just briefly, probably. Somebody I used to joke that somebody's got to work in the office there. So again, anytime that you folks need something, you can feel free to call me. I'll make sure everybody's got my cell number going forward. And it'd be foolish of me to think that I could fill his shoes, but I'm going to keep mine pointed in the same direction that his were and following his footsteps. So again, thank you for everything that the city of Schertz has done for me and my family, and God bless you folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Your family are our neighbors, and your business is one of the finest that I've encountered.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
If the council doesn't mind, I'm going to skip to the discussion and action items really quickly since Mrs. Kreitz is here, and we'll go ahead and take up item number 1, the minutes, consideration or action regarding the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 5th of 2016. Gentlemen, are there any corrections or amendments to those minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
My goodness, there were like 3. I heard Mr. Azuz first. So I have a motion from Mr. Azuz and a second from Mr. Edwards, who was next in my left ear. Any comments or questions from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
5 ayes and no nays, the motion carries. Item number 2, Resolution 16R01, a resolution by the City Council directing the Mayor of Schertz to sign and send a letter to the Adult Megaplex. I'll go ahead and open this up. Mr. James, you have anything that you'd like to? Very good. Gentlemen, comments, questions on this one? Mr. Thompson.
I appreciate the effort we've put into this to date, but I also feel like this letter is lacking. It is a statement that leans more to neutral. Quote, "This letter is to inform you that the City Council has received a complaint about the billboard." That could be multiple complaints. I would like to see the addition of something to the effect of the City Council has received multiple complaints about the billboard, and our preference as a council through this letter is that it be removed from the city limits. I think that gives a stronger statement. I've been a pastor for 40 years. I cannot count the number of families that I've seen destroyed and devastated, both parents and children, by porn and adult videos and other things sneaking in through a small crack and then turning into a chasm that destroys that family. Ironically enough, I heard an ad on the radio today for Adult Megaplex. It went something to the effect of, many people find it uncomfortable to come to an adult store. Therefore, we have a young couple, both man and women, present so that you can receive safe and secure counseling in a confidential setting. I would not associate the word safe and secure with an adult store. That being said, my personal opinion on this is it is a step in the right direction that needs to be strengthened as we can.
Mr. Edwards?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. We're sending this letter to the Adult Megaplex. However, Adult Megaplex does not own the billboard space, if I'm not mistaken. I think that would be an individual company. Would it be like Clear Channel or JGI or something of that nature? So should we be asking or including them as well? I think that would be, because that's their right.
Matter for the council to discuss. Absolutely. Mr. Zeus?
You know, I really truly listened to Mr. Thompson and Mr. Edwards, and I read the letter. We have to be very careful with this because we are infringing on free enterprise. And that's what this country is built on. It's a free enterprise. And I listened to, even outside, people that talked, some in favor, some really don't see the big deal of it. When it comes to statistics and it comes to what does this business does inside our family homes, no, it starts with the family. You know, if you are taught right, this is something that you don't want to do. But this is really a free, truly a free enterprise in our country, and they have the right to put a sign. Now, I'm looking at the legal part of it and the right of business. They have the right to it. They have the right to come to us and open up a business, and we cannot challenge them. Yes, we do have ordinances that says you can't open up in such locations, but and if you look at the billboards, and I think will start something that we might not successfully defeat if that's the purpose, or discourage, because those billboards will go up and then will go down. They'll lease them. So they're all over the city, they're all over the state, they're all over the nation. We are really going to, I want us to be very careful of infringing on a free enterprise and their rights to advertise. You look at the internet, it's all over the internet. You know, if you're going to stop bigger plugs, what are you going to tell the next step we take? We can't have anything sold in our city, so we'll have to really go to Amazon. Says take all your items out that you're selling and you're distributing nationwide out of your store, all the porn movies and the sex toys and so forth and so on. I really want us to rethink this. The sign will go away maybe in a week. I know the cost of what it costs to put a billboard, maybe in a month. But when we send a letter, that might encourage them, says, you know, we just not gonna do it. We'll take it down. We're gonna extend our lease. So then it becomes a bigger problem. Well, I don't see the problem with it actually, but to whoever is opposing to it. This is a really truly a free enterprise. So we can't take, we talk about our Constitution, we talk about our freedom, we talk about our rights. So we are going to be infringing in the business rights to do such a thing. And I'm not saying that it's a great thing to have. It's just a business. You know, what if Megaplex get to the point where we say, what do you mean telling us we can't advertise? Let's just go open up a place in Schertz. I'm for protecting the rights of the individuals, and I'm protecting the rights of the businesses. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Fowler?
I understand what Councilman Asus is saying about freedom. But I also realize that if the problem is so endemic across this country, and you ask yourself, how can we take a stand? Where do you take a stand? Because in my years of serving in the church, I realized that I see some things going on across all of our religions that call themselves Christian, where we're beginning to compromise. I think we need to take some action about our displeasure. But now I think also we may want to consider, how do we involve our community? How do we talk with our churches to even work together, not as individuals, but in unity? I think the time is coming where we need to do that. And church has got to realize that we serve one God. And whether we want to quibble over the way we interpret the scriptures, there are some fundamental things that God tells us not to do. Somehow or another, I think this letter could only be a beginning, but it's got to start somewhere. And I think the city of Schertz is probably in the position that as our residents, we do have some opportunities of churches working together, and I think this could be another one. I think it would be interesting if we could put a sign out on the interstate, say, not only are we porn-free, alcohol-free, and smoke-free, but we are a great family. So I hear what you're saying. I know the problem. I've sat in some counseling sessions with several members of our church. It's not to my liking, but we're going to have to stand somewhere. And I hope we can come up with an answer. Thank you.
Well, obviously, I don't believe we have any legal right to tell these people to take the billboard down. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. These products, smoking, drinking, people are going to do whatever they feel like they choose to do. But it doesn't hurt to ask. We can send the letters. We can send them to the outdoor advertising people. Maybe they'll be sympathetic and take them down. So, but we can try.
Mr. Edwards?
Back on this issue, maybe citizen involvement is the way to go. Perhaps if someone would spearhead some type of petition and speak with the adult megaplex, that would probably be beneficial. I don't think passing any kind of ordinance or anything of that nature would be prudent or even legal. I would have to find out. But I will say this: people have free will. I guess, I don't know how long ago, maybe 8-9 months ago, I was driving south on 35, and right above where Chili's is on 35, there was another, not adult megaplex, but I think it was one of the clubs in San Antonio, the Gentleman's Club, whatever. It was one of the clubs, and that was, it had a woman actually on a pole, and she was, and that was months ago, but I don't know what happened to the billboard. But maybe I'm kind of thinking what Councilmember Azuz is thinking is that if we start, fighting and this becomes a public media issue, then we have something on our hands that we might want to deal with differently. So people have free will. Not only do they have free will, the advertisers have free will also. So I think if you're going to send it to the adult megaplex, you're going to have to include that billboard owner, that person that's renting that spot for income. Those billboards are $2,700 to $3,600 a month. And that's significant. You have people that won't sell their property on 35 because of the income they receive from a billboard. So that is something that we have to really consider. And what if that's one of our businesses locally? I don't think it is, but what if that's one of our businesses locally here that owns that billboard? Have we cut him out of income? I mean, those are some of the economic questions I have. Grumpy brings up a good point about the Amazon issue, saying, if Amazon is selling these items, are we going to approach Amazon as well? I don't think so. They're not advertising their issues, I don't think. So those are just things that we have to be cognizant of when we're doing this. But I do believe if the citizens got involved, especially the citizens that complained to the Chamber of Commerce, and maybe and the citizens that have come forward, I think that would be a good opportunity. And I would love to hear from Jonathan Doherty. I would love to hear from Jonathan Doherty about the statistics of what's going on with families as well. So,
Mr. Thompson.
I think the difference between this and other companies that may sell products such as Amazon that were referred to, the difference is this is blatant. Amazon doesn't put it in your face. You have to go seek it out on an Amazon website. Nowhere in this letter are we asking the company to take down the billboard. We do not have the legal right to do so. We have not expressed that desire. Constitutional freedom of speech, to me, seems to be a two-way street. Does a business have it through advertising? Yes. But I believe that so does a city have that constitutional freedom of speech to express their displeasure with something that we believe not to be of value to our city. We have expressed the same sentiment here in council about some of the paycheck businesses. At a certain point, I think we as a council, let's go back to those young men and women that were in our chairs just a few minutes ago. Do we not have the responsibility to try to set the right path and help guide them as well?
Mr. Zeus?
Just to make it absolutely my opinion on it, we're going to infringe on their rights. I think it's going to start a lot of issues with it. And if there's a letter is sent to them, and we debating up here over a letter because they put a billboard, and they're entitled to put a billboard anywhere they choose and advertise, but there's guidelines of how they advertise. And they're following, obviously, those guidelines. Like Mr. Cedric Edward, I see it all over. I go down 35, I go to Austin, and you see the adult megaplex signs, and you see the Gentlemen's Club signs, and you want to teach your kids something, start at home. If you want to do something, you're going to do it. A billboard is not going to talk you into doing it or not doing it. But I just want us to be careful. I like for us to table this and get a legal opinion. We don't want it to become premature to send a letter to a company that will send us a letter back says, well, guess what? We're going to keep it for 6 more months. This sign, I could assure you, if I'm right, I'm hoping I am, it'll go away in a week or two. Because they'll lease it, then they'll move on to another location. That's what we call a free enterprise, to attract more customers. The people that wants to go up there, they're going to go up there. And the people that do not believe in it, they're not going to go up there. They're not going to even pay attention to the sign. And honestly, I would buy it at 35 intentionally tonight. Now, this has show you how fastly could distract it from not reading the sign. Intentionally to see if the sign's still there before I came to the meeting. And guess what? I passed right by it. I never paid attention. It just never grabbed me. Not intentionally ignored to look at it. It just, while driving, I never looked at it. So I don't know if it's still there tonight or not. But I like for us to table this to get legal opinion and discuss a little bit more before we make a decision tonight on this.
Well, interestingly, on the advice of our counsel, he'd like to talk to us about this, and under the Texas Code, the 551.071, we are going to go into executive session and hear advice from our attorney at this time, and we will come out as soon as we are able. Gentlemen? All right, we're going to reconvene now back into open session. We remain on item number 2, Resolution 16R01, a resolution by the City Council directing the Mayor of Schertz to sign and send a letter to the adult megaplex. Let's continue our conversation, gentlemen. Who'd like to start us off? Mr. Zeus?
Mr. Mayor, I believe megaplex exercising their First Amendment rights. We could table this for further discussion at a later date, and that would be my recommendation.
Gentlemen, any other comment? I'll comment a little bit. It's a challenging one. We have before us a clear, in my mind, a clear First Amendment question. And one might make the argument and say, well, the First Amendment would give us a right as a council to speak as well, but there's a problem with that. The Constitution and the amendments, not to dilute this down to nothing more than a constitutional discussion, but they were put in place to limit government, rightly so, and to protect the people. And it's right that government is limited by the Constitution itself. We have to be very careful when we talk about potentially infringing on constitutional rights. We begin to lean into, and not to wax philosophical, we begin to lean into an Orwellian view of government when we look to go too far as a government. Now, however, I don't think that precludes any of us from acting as individuals. I don't think that precludes individuals out in the neighborhoods and from around this city all expressing their views and thoughts directly to the business at hand and the owners of the billboard itself. Certainly acting as a government entity, we must proceed with great caution. That said, we don't. If we only table this, then we according to our rules of procedure, we don't actually have a table. We would have to take the item up again before the end of the meeting. So I would simply suggest that if it is the desire of council not to take any action, that there simply be no action taken, and we move on with the rest of the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I withdraw my request to table it. I'll make a motion to take no action.
Don't even need a motion to take no action. If you don't need to take a vote, if we're not going to take action at this time, then we simply don't take action at this time. It appears there's no intent to take action at this time, so we will move on from item number 2, and we will move to workshops. The first workshop we have this evening is discussion and possible action regarding amending the City Council Rules of Conduct and Procedure and the City Council Code of Ethics. Mr. Edwards, you'd asked that we talk about this, and we may get into some commentary about. We might find ourselves right back into a little bit of a First Amendment commentary, but Mr. Edwards, I'll turn it to you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I think we as a city, we're currently in uncharted territory or uncharted waters. We've grown in population. We've also grown in council, not just by the number of council members that we'll be going to, but also in our depth and our wisdom that we've had as council. In the past, we have operated with a opportunity that was given to us by previous city managers and even Mr. Kessel here as to no information about certain things that were going on in the city. That trust that we had established, it seems as if that trust may have been just a little bit mired. So when it comes down to media and when people come out to ask questions of the city council, we have a public information office and a spokesperson for our police department. I think that's the reason I brought this information up. We need to get back to our core values of being able to have trust amongst our colleagues as well as with our other departmental staff as well. So I am concerned, and I've asked for this to be put on the agenda because I wanted to know if there was anything that our legal counsel could provide us that would help us with our code of conduct and our code of ethics in regards to public media matters.
And Mr. Zeck, I'm not sure if you're prepared to address that this evening.
I am not. My apologies.
I'll take a stab at it. Again, a place we have to be very careful. each member of this council, as I said last week, has a First Amendment right to say just about whatever they want to say at any given time. And, of course, we as a council have a right to govern ourselves and make changes that where we manage that to the best that we can. I guess if you, and I apologize, Mr. Edwards, I don't want to put any words in your mouth. If you would like to have maybe a presentation from counsel, legal counsel, on what we might or might not do, or what we can or cannot do, we could certainly ask for that in a future session.
You know, it's a double-edged sword, and the reason why I say that is because, you know, we don't want to infringe on individual rights, but we also want to make sure that we're not hindering what our staff is doing as well. And that was a clear case of hindrance, what we saw over the last couple of weeks. So that's the only concern that I would have, and I would ask that we would prepare something and maybe even have this added, do an amendment to our City Code of Ethics about public media matters. Refer everything back to the public information officer, if that would be the case.
Yeah, Mr. Thompson?
Or could it be something that starts with that any interview by a council person, there has to be a representative from the city information office present at that interview to help guide the council person?
Mr. Edward, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Zeus?
Mr. Edward, you said that was a classic case of hindering. You need to get off that boat, okay? What I said in the media that was clearly was posted in the newspaper, was clearly discussed, everybody knew about it, was clearly the media did not give you the full interview of what I have said. If you would listen carefully to that interview, you would hear clearly the reporter saying, "Is this true?" Blah, blah, blah. And I repeated it exactly what he said. It's not something that I went up there, sir, and I give him information, hinder. Where do you get off and say hinder? We need to stop.
Okay, so I'm gonna interrupt as the chair and remind everyone that what we have before us, and I'll reread this, is discussion and possible action regarding amending the city rules of conduct and procedure and the city council code of ethics. We should limit our discussion specifically to anything that we might do with regard to potentially amending the city council rules of conduct and procedure and the city council code of ethics, going back and rehashing anything that's happened in the past that is not directly pertinent to what we're posted to discuss could lead us down a path of potentially violating the Texas Open Meetings Act. And I know we don't want to do that, so let's not go there. Let's keep this a discussion about what we might do with regard to our rules of conduct and procedure or our code of ethics to address any concerns that we might have as a body.
So, Mr. Mayor, with that being said, I would like to have us have something clearly put into our City Council Code of Ethics and Conduct, our policies and procedure, some type of parameter when it comes to public media matters. That's what I'd like to see.
Mr. Fowler?
Thank you. Again, I want to say something that I was trying to say at the last meeting. As councilman, maybe this needs to be documented somewhere. As councilman, you know, people are going to look at us as if we speak, we're going to be speaking the truth, okay? And so I think there is some, if we're not careful, and we may be, you know, I think, and maybe in the cases where we had quoted documents that that was being used, that could be used. But if we don't have that information given to us from a primary source, a central source that we would go to, we need to make sure that we understand the ramification of our position of saying something that may end up not being true, so that we need to make sure that anything that we say is comes from that central source. Otherwise, we need to consider it as hearsay, because unless it comes from someone such as the police department, there's no guarantee that what you're hearing and what you think you've been reading is true at that point. You'll have to be very specific about saying, this is what I've read. But I think we got to look at how people look at us and our credibility. So we need to, somehow or another, that needs to come across any time that we're speaking to the public. Whether it's is a case, a project that's coming online, or we've just got word of, we need to be very careful of anything that we say that doesn't potentially not only hinder maybe the police department, but it may also hinder somebody else coming forward because of just they believe in something that we said, and we have no way of, we did not validate it. And that's something it's across the board for every one of us, that maybe we need to have a course on speaking to the public, whether I'm a public information person. But in my mind, unless we got it from a single source that we all agree is they provide us the information, that we can talk with any confidence about what we're talking about. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. John?
Yeah, so I agree with Cedric, but as elected officials, the public looks to us for information that concerns any of the goings on in the city. But I would definitely recommend restraint when it comes to any of the emergencies, investigations, tragedies, any things that are of sensitive natures that could possibly affect the outcome. Nobody wants to take away anybody's rights to say something, but you just have to be sensitive to the situation, and maybe we could craft it just maybe a little more specific.
Yeah, I think that, you're free to discuss as long as you choose, obviously. But I have a feel for what type of language that you might want in here, which I think we could craft that doesn't infringe on First Amendment rights, and gets across the position of council on how media relation issues should be handled. I can get with staff to help craft that language. That's what I'm getting a feel for here, is that we just want to be careful with information, and that it's when information is provided by the council in their individual capacity, that it's done so keeping in mind the intricacies of law enforcement and any other privacy concerns that may arise as a result of their speech. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
I would be in favor of hearing what our city attorney comes up with in this regard. I believe that, as Mr. Edwards stated, as we continue to grow and as the council continues to expand, that this will provide a foundation for all of us to utilize and hopefully not have any of these emergencies in the ideal world, but we know there will be some more.
Gentlemen, anyone else?
Well, look,
Mr. Edwards.
and I'd like to apologize to Mr. Zeus. If Grumpy, if you feel that I was not targeting you, I was saying that going forward, we do have an issue, and we don't want anything like this to happen again. So please understand that, and I want to publicly apologize and tell you that. going forward, we have 2 new members that'll be coming on, and possibly, actually, maybe 5 seats being open. So that's why I'm saying we need to put something in place for that, just out of care for the city.
Very well. Thank you, Councilman.
Gentlemen, anyone else? So I'm going to comment then. So I'm happy to hear from our city attorney and staff what kind of language we could potentially use here, but I would argue that the council already has the ability to police and discipline itself. I think that trying to police and discipline by legislating up front can be problematic. I know that Mr. Zeck says he probably can come up with some language that doesn't infringe on our First Amendment rights, and I know I'm not trying to boil things down to yet another constitutional question. But I do want to quote something from our City Council Code of Ethics. And I think it was written well when it was written, and I think it is instructive about what's gone on and how we should perhaps go forward. And so I'll read this. Under Ethical Conduct Rules, Section 1, subsection G, it says council members shall clearly state when they've been directed by council to speak on behalf of the city council at the meeting of any board, committee, or commission. All other commentary offered before a board, committee, or commission is deemed to be the personal opinion of the council member. I think if we simply got rid of board, committee, and commission, and simply say council members shall clearly state when they've been directed by council to speak on behalf of the city council, period, followed by all other commentary offered is deemed to be the personal opinion of the council member, period. And if the council member is dissatisfied, if another council member or the council member and the majority is dissatisfied with the execution of that direction, then the council has the ability to censure another member, to give a warning to another member, and a number of ways that can be addressed. I would go very carefully in saying what we can and cannot say on council. I would rather err on we have enough before us to police ourselves than go a step further. That said, I don't get a vote. We've asked the city attorney to bring something to us, and I'm sure this will be on a future council agenda.
Can I just comment briefly,
Mr.
Mayor,
Zeck,
because you raise extremely valid points, and I want to make absolutely clear to the council that what I propose to bring forward will not be in the form of if you do this, there's going to be censure. If you do this, there's going to be punishment. There's going to be ramifications. My understanding of what's being looked for is just guidance in the future, guidelines on how we might handle issues that are of a sensitive nature. And that's all it would be. It would be suggestions and guidance moving forward. There wouldn't be any language that says if you violate this, that there's ramifications for it. It would just simply be sort of common sense guidance on how to handle issues, but drafted in a way that we're making sure that we're not treading upon any constitutional issues.
Sorry, we have Mr. Kessel, have a comment from staff?
Yes, thank you. I think that it would be wise for us to initiate on the staff level some media training that we would provide not only to the city council, but to our executive team and department heads and anybody else on the city staff that may have the opportunity to meet with the media. It's certainly one of those things that if you have some training, it can go a very long way. Unrelated to past commentary, I could see it being useful to us. Perhaps if we had a significant flood like we did in 1998, we'd want to have everyone on the same page as to how we would handle the media in a future event, such as one that we've experienced in the past. And something like that could be invaluable to us as an organization. I'd propose that Ms. Klepper work with our emergency operations staff as well, and we develop a training program that we can present that we all would benefit from. We could even have our citizens on patrol and other folks who regularly help with us get that same training so we all are on the same page in a positive manner, I think we'd all benefit from that.
Mr. John?
I was just saying, I believe TML provides a class for specifically talking to the media. Okay, we could work with them a little bit on that.
Gentlemen, anyone else on this particular item under the rules? All right. If nothing else with regard to the council rules of conduct and procedure and the code of ethics, I do feel the need to put out a motion and see how the council feels. So I'm going to say this. With deference to and respect for the method employed and the action taken by the Schertz City Council on April 16th of 1974, with regard to the selection of a mayor pro tem, I move that this council, pursuant to our rules of procedure, in particular Article 5, Section 5.1, subsections A, B, and G, establish by rule, and as such, in this case, a standing rule, that mayors pro tem shall be appointed for a term of 1 year, beginning and ending in February of each year, and that said mayors pro tem shall be appointed by a majority vote of council following a properly made motion to appoint a member who is both eligible and in good standing with the council at the time the motion is made, and that such rule take effect immediately. I'm not sure how the council feels on this one, but I want to put that out there.
Second that motion.
Comments, questions from council?
Where and when and why did we change from 1 year to a 6-month rotation?
I think the history on the 6-month rotation goes back to Councilwoman and General Marsh, who proposed a number of councils and years ago that the regular serving of an individual for 1-year terms without change on council was, in her opinion, and I don't want to put words in the general's mouth, maybe not in the best interest of the city, and she said that there should be an automatic rotation every 6 months. Prior to the general's comments and the change in our discipline at that time, with my comments that I made about April 16 of 1974, mayors pro tem served for 1-year terms and were chosen from among the members. So I think that's the history of why we went to a rotating system.
So how long, Mr.
Zeus?
Mayor, we were on a 6-month rotation? How long has that been going on?
I'm not sure that I know the exact number of years, and with the council's okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Greenwald. Can you tell us when General Marsh brought that forward approximately? Yeah. So from
What's the motive behind changing it now? It have nothing to do with me becoming a mayor pro tem next month, does it?
I just have argued for the. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Greenwald.
At the time, council elected mayor pro tem based on seniority.
Right.
Longest serving members normally get to be mayor pro tem. You got either the seat that stayed in length of time, 21 years. You got the mayor pro tem, pretty regular.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Greenwald. Appreciate the history. Before we returned to the 6-month rotation, as is in our current rules of procedure, I had advocated that we go back to the procedure that we had from 58 to, I guess, 74. And I'm still of the opinion that's the right way to go, and I'm seeing what the council thinks about going back to that method.
Mr. Mayor, I think
Mr.
that
Fowler?
document also says that you nominate the person to fill the role. And we've been, at least since I've been on council, it's been a rotation through the number system.
Hmm?
Now, are you suggesting that we get away with our numbering system also?
I'm suggesting that that once a year in February, that the council should nominate someone from amongst the council members and should appoint a mayor pro tem based on the will of the council and not on a random rotation. So I have a motion and a second. Gentlemen, any other questions or commentary from the council? Not, I'll call for a vote. It'll go to my left since the motion was made from the chair.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
I'm definitely got to say no. I don't know exactly why is this all taking place. And you all know. No.
Aye.
Very good. 3 ayes and no nays. The motion carries. Next workshop that we have is discussion and consideration or action regarding the confirmation, appointment, or election of the mayor pro tem. And also have a motion that I will make from the chair. I move that Councilman Cedric Edwards be appointed mayor pro tem for a term of 1 year immediately following the expiration of Mayor pro tem Fowler's term of service.
Second.
And Mr. Zuz, I will most certainly say, yes, I am making these motions because I believe it is in the best interest of this council and of this city. I don't personally feel like the timing is right for you to serve in that capacity.
Would you explain why, Mr. Mayor?
I don't feel it's the correct time for you to serve in that
Can you
capacity.
explain why, Mr. Mayor?
I will not.
Mr. Mayor, can you explain to them why? They're the voters. They elected me and elected you. Can you just let them know why?
The appointment of a mayor pro tem is an exercise of this council and within this council.
Am I being discriminated against publicly also?
Discriminated against? I couldn't possibly say that. I just simply believe that the actions over the last several weeks and over the last year and 4 to 5 months say to me that it's not the correct time for you to serve in that capacity.
Please tell me why then. What action?
In the aggregate, that's my opinion.
Okay.
So I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments from council? Hearing none, and I will call for a vote. Since motion was made from the chair, the vote starts to my left.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Aye.
3 ayes and no nays. The motion carries. Next item that we have on the agenda this evening, we have a roll call vote confirmation.
I'll do the best I can. Let's go to the minutes. Motion was made to approve the minutes of January 5th. The motion was made by Councilmember Azus, seconded by Councilmember Edwards. Mayor Pro Tem Fowler voted yes. Councilmembers Azus, John, Edwards, Thompson voted yes. Motion passed. Motion was made to change the Mayor Pro Tem date to a 1-year term. Beginning in February. Motion was made by Mayor Carpenter, seconded by Councilmember John. Mayor Pro Tem Fowler voted no. Councilmember Azus voted no. Councilmembers John, Edwards, and Thompson voted yes. Motion passed. Motion was made by Mayor Carpenter to appoint Cedric Edwards as the next Mayor Pro Tem, effective February 1st for 1 year. Seconded by Councilmember John. Mayor Pro Tem Fowler voted no. Councilmember Azus voted no. Councilmembers John, Edwards, and Thompson voted yes. Motion passed.
One correction, Mrs. Dennis, not February 1st, but rather at the conclusion of Mr. Fowler's current term.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item that we have on the agenda this evening, we have requests and announcements. We have first announcements by the city manager, Mr. Kessel.
A couple of things, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'd like to make certain that everybody knows that we do have our retreat this Thursday and Friday. Staff will be there Thursday, and City Council will be there on Friday. Staff will then join, as is our habit, Friday afternoon. We'll be at the GVEC facility again. I think most of the folks know where that facility is. We do get that for free, and yes, and I'm going to ask Ms. Dennis if she could get some information from you probably after the meeting would be appropriate. Is that? And do you need to speak to anyone in particular or all of council? Did you call their names? Who needs to go visit with Ms. Dennis?
I believe that would be Councilmember John, Fowler, and Edwards.
Okay, if you don't mind, go visit with Brenda about that.
Oh, I'm
After
sorry,
the meeting?
and Councilmember Zeus, I apologize.
Yes, so we can coordinate that. We're excited about the strategic planning effort. We've spent some time at the staff level working on some information that we feel will help the City Council move forward with the community. I also wanted to take a moment and say that we held two different groups today in the council chambers that were very similar in nature, but different groups. The first was the Chamber Leadership Corps, and we had a number of business leaders as well as, interestingly, two DECA students participating. We had a great discussion about local government, how it works, and then they did a mock council meeting up here on the dais in the morning. We had really good results. I was very impressed by that group. And then later at afternoon, we had the mayor for the day that you saw the students here from junior high participate in a very similar exercise. So again, very impressive results from that. I know that there was a lot of staff that participated, Ms. Dennis, Ms. Klepper, but there were other staff as well. I wanted to single out a few that probably did a little extra effort. I would say Officer Lafitte spoke with the students in the second program on the curfew law, and she did a fantastic job with that and took a lot of extra time. And then Chuck Van Zant, let's see, Kathy Woodley and Lisa Wood also spoke to the leadership program, and they took a significant amount of time to prepare for that. We had other staff that participated in both of those exercises, so that's not a complete list, but those are the ones who really had to prepare. And probably also Tony McFalls from JS prepared a lot of base material, very good information. I hope that it creates better citizens in the long run, and both kids and adults who are very comfortable coming down and participating in the local government process. And I hope to see us continuing this, and congratulations to Brenda and to Linda today for the success.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. Next item that we have is item 4, future agenda item requests from the City Council. Any items that we currently don't have scheduled that need to be scheduled, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll go on to the next item, item 5, announcements by the mayor and council members, and I'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Fowler. Mr. Fowler?
Yes, I guess just a question, since this is the second Tuesday and we're having the training session this Friday, we will not have a meeting on next Tuesday, on the third Tuesday of the month?
Based upon the ordinance that y'all passed last, I believe it was November, we began in January, where it's the first, second, and fourth is Tuesdays of the month is your council meetings.
I just want to verify that that was still on the books. All right. I have nothing else.
Very good. Mr. Aziz?
Oh, at Operation Comforts, we are putting a walk and a drive, and as a matter of fact, right now they are collecting contributions to support the operation. I'll get you all some more information. We have already collected a lot of contribution. This is for our soldiers that the amputees. They do a great job, themselves. Actually, they're the one that kind of babysitting themselves and helping one another to go through this rehab. So hopefully in our next council meeting, I will provide everybody with information, and you're welcome to join and just be a part of them for the day to come. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. John? Nothing from Mr. John. Mr. Edwards?
Mr. Mayor, just you mentioned General Marsh. I don't know if you guys know, but her husband Halbert passed away, and they had the funeral on Friday. So I just thought I'd mention that to you guys. So if you do know them, please Saturday, please make sure you go by and at least say hi and give her some words of encouragement and comfort. Thank you.
Indeed. Indeed. Mr. Thompson?
I'd like to echo what Mr. Jevitt said about the Texas Crime Stoppers, their representatives stopping here Friday. Particularly like to extend our appreciation to the Schertz Civic Center and the city staff. The body language of the Crime Stopper representatives was very positive. They felt like it was a tremendous facility. The city staff did an excellent job of representing the city, using a phrase, kind of a full court press. And if we get this particular convention, it could be upwards 450 to 500 people for a 3-day period in the city. And so excellent job by the city to in that regard.
Thank you, sir. One last comment about General Marsh's husband. He was, I believe, Mr. Greenwald, you told me he's a World War II era. He's an ace. Better than 5 kills serving our country. So an opportunity, if you have any, to go by and visit or send a card to the general. I'm sure it'd be well received. This evening we do have a need for an executive session. City Council will meet in closed session under Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, personnel matters, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, or discipline or dismissal of the city secretary. We need to have this session this evening, so we will go into executive session and then return to open session as soon as we are able. All right, we're going to come back into open session this time. Item number 6A is next on the agenda. Take any necessary action based on discussions held in closed session under agenda item number 6, including a possible increase in salary. Gentlemen, is there any action to take this evening?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we give the city secretary a 2% pay raise as soon as possible.
Second.
As soon as possible would be basically effective immediately. So I have a motion and a second. Other questions or comments from council?
None, sir.
If there are none, then I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
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 5 ayes and no nays. The motion carries. Next item on the agenda this evening is a roll call vote confirmation.
Item number
Dennis?
6A. Oh, go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry. Item number 6A. Motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Fowler, seconded by Councilmember Zeus, to give the city secretary a 2% increase in pay effective immediately. Mayor Pro Tem Fowler voted yes. Council members Azus, John, Edwards, Thompson voted yes. Motion passed.
Very good. I don't have anything else on the agenda. Is there anything else from staff or from council? If not, then we stand adjourned. Not as loud as Kelsey, but